Oh yeah, what's going on, GameLeapers? This is Ease, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the patch 12.21 changes that just got released on Twitter. So we'll be trying to predict whether these champions will become really good, whether they'll get a lot worse, maybe what will happen to their win rates. So we'll cover everything in this video, so make sure you stick around for the whole thing. And of course, guys, if you want to master any of the champions in this game, if you want to master any of the roles, more importantly, make sure you check out our GameLeap website at GameLeap.com, linked in the description and comment section, because our challenger players and coaches from around the world are uploading daily content for your benefit. Trust me, these videos you watch on YouTube, they're probably not really going to change your LP. So if you do want to legit improve and peak on the Rift, check out those links down below, and let's get into patch 12.21. So we'll start by talking about the champion buffs for the upcoming patch, and there are 4 buffs to 4 champions, who are kind of popular, and one of these popular champions is AHRI. So what's happening to AHRI is your Q's mana cost is going from 60 to 100, depending on the actual number of points you have in your Q, to 55 to 95. So this is going down by 5 at each rank. Now, what does this mean? Well, this means that when you're using your Q on AHRI, which is the ability you're maxing first, you won't be using as much mana. This is useful, no doubt, because you can spam this a little bit more, and this is a really important ability in terms of wave clear, in terms of poke, in terms of landing it with your charm combo. So being able to use your orb a little bit more, this is certainly nice. But there's also another buff to AHRI, and this is to your Q as well. This is to its AP ratio. So instead of being 40%, it's going to be 45% in 12.21. This means that the more AP you have, so from items or even runes, this is going to get pumped into your Q's damage. So as the game progresses in particular, right, so as we get into the mid to late game and you actually start getting a lot of AP from your items, particularly if you're getting items like maybe Rabadon's Death Cap, which give you a massive amount of ability power, your Q is really going to hurt the enemy champions. So those are the buffs to AHRI. Her win rate will probably increase by around 0.5%, maybe 1% because of these changes, and because she's one of the best blind pick mid laners in the game, lots of people, lots of mid laners should be happy about this. Now, another mid laner who is getting buffed in 12.21, who isn't really played that much at the moment, and for good reason, because he's kind of bad, this is Corki. So for Corki, what Riot are doing, they're increasing your health growth. So the amount of actual HP you get per level, this is going up from 101 to 105. Now, it doesn't sound that significant, but getting more HP on a champion who is really squishy, this is definitely going to save you in most games. So because of this change, you will see less deaths in the death column. And the other buff to Corki, which is more significant, this is the attack damage growth buff. So each time you level up, the amount of attack damage you're getting, this is increasing by 0.3. Again, it might not sound too much, but remember, as Corki, you're playing to scale. And because this attack damage growth, you'll be getting more of it as the game gets into the later stages. This is when you're really strong, right? When you get to your 2 to 3 item spike and you can actually start dealing damage, this is really going to help. But the only thing here is that, well, it doesn't really do anything for Corki's laning phase. The AD growth might give you a little bit more power early on, but for the most part, you're still going to be very susceptible to dying in the first 20 or even 25 minutes of a game. But still, these are legitimate buffs. But AHRI and Corki aren't the only mid laners getting buffed in 12.21, because the final mid laner getting buffed, this is Malzahar. So what Riot are doing to Malz, your E is now going to execute minions below 15 to 45 health, depending on the level, of course, and this is going to happen from levels 1 to 11. So this is really going to help your laning phase, of course. So all you have to do is just press your E, and it will pretty much just do the job for you. So there isn't really much skill expression involved here, I guess. But hey, I guess that's why you're playing Malzahar. Now it's even easier to play Malzahar. So if you guys don't have 10 CS per minute come 10 minutes, you are actually trolling. And of course, guys, if you actually play any of these champions, or if you just have an opinion on these changes, let us know what that is in the comment section. Now, the final champion getting buffed in 12.21, kind of a small patch, but the final champion getting buffed, this is Xin Zhao. So what Riot are doing, kind of weird changes here again, because one of the buffs is based off your AP ratio. But as Xin Zhao, are you really going to build that much ability power? Riot have done this in the past, where they've pumped a bit more ability power into your kit, but you're still going to build attack damage, right, and be that bruiser fighter. So the AP ratio in your heal, this is actually getting increased by 10%, which is actually quite a hefty amount. But again, is this really going to do anything? Because, how much AP are you really going to build as Xin Zhao? Probably none, right? But the other 2 buffs will certainly mean something, because what's happening? Your passive, so the third hit damage, this is going to scale more of your total attack damage later into a game. So going from 15 to 45% to 15 to 60% now. So this is a legitimate buff. And also the other buff is your E's cooldown, which is going down, presumably, we don't know at the moment, to 11 seconds from 12 seconds. On the actual patch notes, it said 12 seconds to 1 second. That would be a little bit broken, but I wouldn't put it past the balance team to do that change. So yeah, I'm guessing this is just like a 1 second decrease. So those 2 buffs to your passive and your E's cooldown, These are legitimate, and these will certainly see Zin's outplayed a lot more, and his win rate will definitely increase. Now, as far as the champions getting nerfed, we had 3 champions getting nerfed, and thank goodness, I cannot believe it has taken this long for Riot to nerf Bel'Veth. Now, to be honest, I think these nerfs are a little bit memey. I don't think they're really going to do that much because Bel'Veth is still going to hold on to a lot of her power, but let's get into what these nerfs are, and you guys can tell me what you think in the comments. So first of all, your E, the cooldown is increasing. So it's going from 20 to 16, that's the cooldown at the moment, to 24 to 18 seconds. So a 4-second increase early game, and then in the late game, a 2-second increase. But let's think about this for a second. How many times are you going to use your E on Bel'Veth in a team fight, for example? Probably only once, right? So if you increase the cooldown, like how much impact is this really going to have? It's kind of like nerfing Maokai's ultimate in this patch like they did in 12.20 in the late game. You're probably only using your Twisted Advance once anyway in that time period. So I don't really think this is going to hit Bel'Veth all that hard, but they are nerfing your ultimate's actual Remora HP you get. So instead of getting 40 to 70%, this is going down to 40 to 60% of the minion's HP. But once again, how much is this really going to affect this champion? If we think about her kit for a second, like what actually makes her broken? Well, the damage reduction in your E, maybe the mobility you have from your Qs, and just your outright DPS with Conqueror. If you go something like Bork and Kraken Slayer and then Ninja Tabis or something like this, not only are you hard to kill because of the lifesteal and that damage reduction, but you deal so much consistent damage. So I was kind of excited to see Bel'Veth nerf because she has like a 52-53% win rate in every single elo, but unfortunately I still think it's going to be very close to that percentage in 12.21. And speaking of another champion who has a win rate very similar to Bel'Veth, around that 52-53% mark, this is Miss Fortune. Now, Miss Fortune in higher reloads has actually become, well, really not that good because of the recent nerfs. But what Riot are doing to Miss Fortune, well, I don't actually know if these are really nerfs, but anyway, they're nerfing your E slow. So the base slow from 50% to 40%, but it's scaling more for each 100 AP you have. So it's going from 4% to 6%. So if you're playing support Miss Fortune and building like Leandri's and AP, this might even be a buff. In fact, it probably is a buff in the late game. Also, they're buffing the AP ratio in your E from 100% to 120%, and they're also buffing your ultimate's AP ratio from 20% to 25%. So I don't know like how these are listed as champion nerfs. Adjustments, maybe. Probably even buffs, to be honest, but these are the apparent nerfs to Miss Fortune. These just sound like buffs, so if you're playing Miss Fortune as a support, you're building Leandri's like I said, and you're building AP, I mean, it's not really going to do much for AD carry Miss Fortune. So interesting changes here from the balance team. Does AP Miss Fortune really need addressing? I know there's a bunch of champions that could probably do with, you know, some sort of love from the balance team, so kind of underwhelming changes there. Now, the final champion, guys, getting nerfed in 12.21, and this one legitimately makes sense. This is Blitzcrank. So what's happening? Your base HP, because Blitzcrank is absolutely killing it at the moment in the support role, not so much in the jungle, but yes, as a support, your base HP. So this is going down by 18 from 653 to 635. Makes your early game a little bit weaker, right? So if you do misstep, if you do misplay, if you do overextend going for that rocket grab, you are going to feel a bit more pain. Also, your base armor is going down, and this is actually quite a significant nerf, going from 32 to 28. Again, this means in the bot lane, because you're going to take physical damage for the most part, whether it's from auto attacks or attack damage carry abilities, this means you are just squishier and easier to kill, so you're just less obnoxious of a champion. That's what both these changes do. And there's also another nerf to your W's attack speed you get. So when you press W and you get that extra attack speed, it's going from 40 to 92% to 30 to 82%. So this is a 10% decrease. Blitzcrank I still will think will be a very good pick, especially into those immobile, maybe spellcasting, enchantress supports, but these are big nerfs, and I think his win rate will definitely go down by at least 1 or 2% as a result. So those were the changes, guys, for 12.21. Let me know in the comments once again what you think of the changes. If you do want us to continue making these videos where we update you on what is happening in Season 12 and of course the preseason coming up, let us know by leaving a like down below. And until our next Season 12 upload, this has been Peace.